in the last 10 years, we can say that when we travel, we find a lot of homestays that are available all over the place. So can this homestay business really provide profit? Because there must be a high demand for this homestay industry, which in turn led to many businesses starting to get involved in homestay businesses. So in this video, I will explain how we can make money in this traveling industry, especially for short-term stays together with ABNB, which ABNB is a brand that is very synonymous when we travel and we need a homestay, so usually users will use the ABNB apps to search and make reservation. So in my view, the business done by ABNB is something that is very, very disruptive. It is a business that can challenge the dominance of big hotels. So we will look in more detail regarding this business, Airbnb, and so on. We will also see if we can together make a profit in this Airbnb business. And finally, make sure you watch this video until the end, because at the end of this video, I will share how you can get a video learning the basics of global stocks for free from me. Okay, so in this ABNB video analysis, we will look at some important factors such as the background, the business model, the revenue model, and also we will look at the entire traveling industry. Next, we will also see the competitors, their financial statements, and also many other important things that we will analyze in this video. Airbnb was first established in 2008 in San Francisco, California, and then became a public company in 2020 by making an IPO offering and then managed to get $3.5 billion in cash from the next investor. What is a business model? What Airbnb does? The first is that Airbnb is a platform that connects people who want to rent on a short-term basis with people who have homes and then want to rent them out for short-term stays. So that is the main business of Airbnb. And then Airbnb expanded and introduced several new products such as experience and also premium services. Next, how does Airbnb generate income? The first is that Airbnb generates income from the service fees, which is Airbnb charging a fee service of 3% to hosts who rent out their home. And also Airbnb charges between 6 to 12% to users who use this service. Apart from that, Airbnb also charges hosting fees to hosts who offers through the Airbnb platform. Next, Airbnb charges a marketing fees to hosts who want to upgrade their listing to a feature listing with a charge of 3%. So this is how Airbnb generates income from their business. Next, we will also see how big the online travel industry is, travel booking, and also vacation rental. The first is according to Skills Research 2022. The online travel bookings market is worth almost $1 trillion US. So this is a very large market, and the vacation rental market in which Airbnb operates is estimated to be worth $80 billion in 2020 and increase to $100 billion in 2025 as reported by Elite Market Research. Airbnb estimates the total amount for this vacation rental market is worth $150 billion every year. As in other businesses, Airbnb is not the only one that is actively involved in this industry. There is also a lot of competition such as Booking Holdings with an income in 2022 of $29.3 billion. Therefore, it is much higher than Airbnb's water revenue of $8.4 billion. Next, Expedia Group recorded an income of $24.1 billion in 2022, VRBO $10.3 billion, TripAdvisor $2.8 billion. So we can see many other companies that are involved in this vacation rental, like Booking.com, Expedia, and also TripAdvisor, which are more senior, earlier, and a pioneer in the. Next, we will see how the financial performance is for Airbnb. The first thing we will look at is the income statement, which is the total revenue and total sales that are generated every year. So if we look at 2017, Airbnb's revenue was around $1.5 billion, then in 2018 around $3 billion, in 2019 it increased to $4.5 billion. However, in 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Airbnb's income fell below $4 billion again. Next, in 2021, the revenue rises again above $4.5 billion, and in 2022 it reaches $9 billion. So this shows that Airbnb's income continues to grow yearly, which is very, very good for the business. Next, we will look at the net income, which we can see the net income that is orange bar, positive since 2017, although that number is small but shows a positive number. Similarly in 2018, but in 2019, Airbnb recorded a negative profit. Likewise in 2020, The net income for Airbnb is minus 4.5 billion. Then in 2021, Airbnb again recorded a positive profit, and in 2022 continued to record a much more positive net income. So we can see ABNB recorded positive development from a sales point of view. The same is true from the point of view of net profit. Next, we will look at Airbnb's balance sheet, which means we will look at total assets and also total liabilities. So in 2018, we can see that total liability is higher than total assets. Likewise in 2019, but since 2020, we can see total assets of more than 10 billion with total liabilities already decreasing. Likewise in 2021, total assets are 13.6 billion, and in 2022 total assets are almost 18 billion with total liabilities worth around 10 to 11 billion. So we can also see from the point of view of the balance sheet that Airbnb's assets continue to make a higher increase, which is stronger compared to total liabilities. Next, we will look at ABNB's cash flow. The first is cash flow from operating activities, which is from the net profit that generates cash. The net profit of ABNB is seen to increase from 2017 until 2022, which cash flow from operating activities recorded almost 4 billion, which very positive from operating activities. We can also see here that ABNB is a company that has strong cash balances. This cash position is important in the event of a shock in the industry. As a company, ABNB can still survive in a negative situation even if they don't get any loans. So with this strong cash position, it shows that ABNBs can survive in negative economic conditions. Next, we will look at institutional holdings. These institutional holdings, like fund managers and hedge funds, similarly holdings from banks or insurance companies. Most of these institutional holdings are holdings for the long term. So when an institutional holding makes a holding in a company's shares, this usually shows confidence from the institutional side. So we can see in 2018 as a whole, institutional held 36.8% of the total outstanding shares of Airbnb. Then in 2019 increased to 39.2%. In 2020 increased to 41.6%. 2021 increased to 44%. In 2022 Q1 increases to 44.7%. However, in Q1 2023, institutional ownership decreases slightly to 37.29%, but the year 2023 is still not over. We will both see if there will be large investors who will continue to make purchases in Airbnb shares. Intrinsic value or valuation for ABNB is based on discounted cash flow. So for information, there are also various ways we can assess a specific company's intrinsic value, which does not have one right or wrong answer. Anyway, based on the estimated discounted cash flow, the intrinsic value for Airbnb is $93.35, which is currently the price of Airbnb is above $135. This shows Airbnb has been in a condition that is overvalued by 36% at the moment. Next, we will also look at the average price target that has been made by various institutions, from banks to fund managers to hedge funds. Airbnb has a high target until the end of 2024 to a height of $194. Average focus is $131, and the lowest podcast is $95.95 in BNB. Maybe it could go up another 34% to this $194, or Airbnb may also fall 34% to $95.95. Next, we will see if there are new products or services offered by Airbnb in 2023. First, Airbnb launched Airbnb Plus. Airbnb representatives will do an inspection of each house that must comply with the set criteria. This was launched in January 2023. Next, in February 2023, ABNB launches ABNB Experiences, where users can make reservations to participate in experiences such as cooking classes, bike rides, football games, and so on, depending on the user's preferences. Also in March 2023, ABNB launched Airbnb Categories, where users can make reservations based on their needs, such as romantic getaways. The same goes for family vacations. Then users can use this category to make reservations. Next, in April 2023, ABNB launched ABNB Plus Homes for Work, which is suitable for companies or corporates who want to use this place for business purposes. Next, in May 2023, ABNB offers Airbnb Travel Insurance, which in my view is a very good business that is very profitable for the long term. Next, we will look at some key performance indicators by Airbnb. The first is from a revenue point of view, in which ABNB recorded a first quarter 2023 income of $1.5 billion, which is 70% higher than the same quarter last year. Both gross booking values increased to 29.3 in the first quarter of 2023 and also increased 67% from the previous year. Experience booking recorded an increase of 71% from the same quarter in the previous year. So from these three main KPIs, next we will analyze Airbnb's business using SWOT analysis. So the first is Airbnb's strength. It is a brand that is very well known all over the world. The second is that Airbnb Airbnb has a very large user database. Next, ABNB is also a very innovative company that constantly introduces new products. Next, Airbnb also has a strong focus on customer experience. And furthermore, ABNB's management team is very experienced in this industry. Next, we will look at ABNB's weaknesses. The first one is ABNB is very much dependent on the host of that house itself, because in the hospitality industry, hotels have staff to ensure high service, but ABN has no control over the owner of these houses. Is the house safe? Is the house clean? This cannot be 100% certain because it depends on the host of that particular house. So that is one of the weaknesses in this business model. Also, ABNB needs to constantly spend a large amount to get customers through advertising and marketing. Thirdly, although ABNB's income continues to grow, the growth rate is slower than before. What about the opportunity? The short-term rental market is expected to grow from year to year. Likewise, ABNB can continue to grow by offering services in new countries. Next, ABNB can generate new income by launching new products or services. ABNB can also make takeovers in related businesses because ABNB has a relatively large cash reserve. Finally, what are the threats to ABNB's business? The first is potential unfavorable regulatory changes, i.e. in the event of changes or restrictions from the government of a country. For example, the government of a country can block ABNB from operating there. Maybe to save the hospitality industry, it can impose a high tax on Airbnb or hosts who use their services. The next threat is reputational damage, which is like what we have discussed earlier. Airbnb does not have control over any assets or homestays in the system. If the service offered by that host is terrible, this can affect the reputation of Airbnb. The next threat is that there is an increase in competitors in the short vacation rental industry, and so on. An equally important threat is that in the event of a weakness in the economy, this may also cause the demand for short vacation rentals to decrease apart from the analysis squad. This Airbnb business has a more significant advantage than the hotel industry. For example, we are a Hilton company. Currently, our company has 100,000 rooms worldwide. So to grow our business, we need to invest significantly to buy land to build a new hotel at the new location. So this requires considerable expenses to grow the business. Unlike Airbnb, which does not need to build these assets. They only need to open a new listing and get a new host for the listing in the Airbnb platform. So we can see that the hospitality industry needs a very large capital to grow, but the Airbnb business does not require significant capital to build a hotel. So that is an advantage for Airbnb. Also, Airbnb doesn't have significant expenses like hotels. It takes thousands of workers to operate a hotel Airbnb doesn't need to operate. So these two factors, in my view, are very important, which can cause this Airbnb business to continue to grow and generate income and further generate profits for investors in this Airbnb stock. Finally, we will see the Airbnb chart. Airbnb started to enter the market in early 2021 with the price opening at $140. Then Airbnb continued to rise up to $220. However, it is seen that they struggled to make an increase and continue to fall back to the listing price level of around $130. And then when there is a bear market in the global stock market, Airbnb also falls from the level of $210 to the level of almost $80. Next, the level of $80 is seen to hold, and then the Airbnb price increases back from the level of $80, rising to the level of $145. Recently, we can see the Airbnb Air make a breakout. The $120 level is the resistance from the downtrend channel. Later, Airbnb increased to the level of $150. After this breakout, Airbnb is looking bullish for short and medium-term trends. I am confident with Airbnb business like what we have discussed earlier. So will Airbnb continue to make an increase to try this $200 or $220 level again? Yes, I am very confident that can happen. When is the time? No one knows. But if we are confident Airbnb can continue to grow in the future, this can provide an opportunity. If the price falls again, we can make dollar cost averaging to lower the average price. In my view, Airbnb